Thank you so much, Tiffany. So as she mentioned, I'm Carmen Davis with BlueCross BlueShield of Tennessee's Community Trust and Foundation. Some of you may know that we have kind of three areas of our philanthropic arm. So it's the Community Trust, the Foundation, and Team Blue, which is our employee volunteer program. I'm going to focus on the trust, which is the portion I manage, as well as Team Blue for Chattanooga, Knoxville, and Tri-Cities. So Chattanooga and going in that direction are the areas I manage, and I have a counterpart. She's in the Memphis office, and her name is Claire Brulator, and she manages Nashville, Jackson, and Memphis. So it's kind of give you an idea of how the state works and how our management works for that. The community, let's get into the money. The Community Trust has a twice a year funding cycle. So cycle one, the due date is November 1st, so it's coming up in a few months, and the application is open right now. So it closes on November 1, and that's for anything January through June of the next year. And then cycle two application closes May 1st. It opens November 2nd, closes May 1st, and that's for anything from July and December of the same year. So you have two opportunities to apply to the trust. If you apply for one cycle and don't get it, you are more than welcome to apply for the following cycle, but we don't often do cycle 1 and 2 for the same organization. And that's not something like the statewide, like an American Cancer Society. We're not saying if the one in Knoxville gets funding, then all the other ones are knocked out. So we do take it kind of by area as well. So that breaks down kind of our funding cycles and how that works. The process is totally online, and the link is in the chat that kind of gets you to, or that gets you to our grant management system. So you'll have to create an account online. And in that account, you'll give us all your normal information, your grant narrative, information about the organization, board members, all that kind of stuff is included in that grant management, that grant portal system. So when you apply, you'll send that information in, and then we'll take a moment to look at it once the cycle or once that portal closes. Myself and Claire, we review those applications from across the state, and it usually takes us about 1 to 2 months to get a response back to you guys. Are there any questions at this point before I keep going? Because I can't really see the chat. Okay, no, we're good. Again, so we review everything, and then, like I said, you have about 2 months or so. No, we try to get it done in a month that you'll get information back from us. Our focus areas for the Community Trust are charitable clinics, disease prevention, so that's things like JDRF or American Cancer Society, Susan G. Komen, those types of things, youth health and development organizations, and then diversity and inclusion. So those are our 4 focus areas. Now, like with anything, there are times when we'll support something outside the scope of those 4 areas, but for the most part, we stay pretty strong in those 4 areas. To give you kind of an idea of how our funding, which we get roughly about a little under $600,000 a year to spread across the state, about 21% of that went to charitable clinics. 31% of that went to disease prevention because it really falls in line with who we are as a healthcare company. 31% went to youth health and development, and then 16% went to diversity and inclusion. So that's kind of how those dollars are split among focus areas. God, I lost my train of thought just that quickly. Oh, so that's how they're split among those focus areas. And then the majority of our funding lands in Chattanooga, and it's right about 30%. And then another 20% is in Nashville, another 20% is in Memphis/Jackson, and then the remainder goes to the rest of East Tennessee. I think it's 15 or so in Knoxville, and another 5 in the Tri-Cities. But that number shifts often because we don't get a lot of applications from that side of the state. Is one reason why the number looks the way it looks, but also it's based on kind of our employee count in those areas, because each city that I named we have an office in. So that's how we split those up. The Blue Cross Foundation, those are our large scale gifts. In 2018, we shifted from having 3 focus areas with the foundation to one singular focus, and that's Blue Cross Healthy Places. And we've started building those all across the state. They look different in different cities. We leave it up to the organization that applies and gets the funding to help us come up with a plan of what that healthy place will look like in your city. We actually have one that's going to open in Knoxville pretty soon. And mostly we've had applications from cities just because it's easier for them municipalities to apply, because they oftentimes have the land and the resources to make sure that the upkeep portion of the contract is met. But on average, those Blue Cross Healthy Places are anywhere from $250,000 to about $800,000. That also includes a maintenance fee that we contribute to on behalf of that healthy place. So those are popping up all over the state. But like I said, the foundation is now singular focus, whereas in the past it had multiple focus areas, and they did those large scale, multi-year, 6-figure grants for organizations, but they no longer do that. And then we have Team Blue, which is our employee volunteer program, which is probably my favorite part of my job, because I get to help our employees give back personally to the areas that they live, work, and play in. So it's really my favorite part of the job. And we, on average, pre-pandemic, did anywhere between 20 to 30,000 or so hours per year with employee volunteers. Susan, did you have a question? I'm sorry, I saw your hand go. No?
No, somebody came by.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. So that is my favorite part of the job, is getting employees out into the community to help. With the pandemic, it's been a little challenging because everything has to be virtual, and we're still operating in a virtual space at Blue Cross. So we're not allowing in-person volunteer opportunities just yet. We thought we were going to be able to come back in September and allow those, but Delta said otherwise. So we're not quite sure when it's going to happen again for us. But if you have virtual opportunities, I would love to share those with our employees. Similar to our grant management system, we have an internal Team Blue portal that our employees can go to. They can see what the offerings are across the state. It can even break down by interest areas. If you are interested in helping with pets or the senior community or youth, you can pick those filters out as well. And they go in, they fill out the application to volunteer for that particular opportunity, and then they get what's called Team Blue points. And Team Blue points turn into dollars for our employees. So quarterly, they can get up to, I think it's $25 towards their overall wellness point bucket. And the overall wellness point bucket is about $200 per quarter. So $25 of that can come from volunteering. So it's a really good program. Our senior leadership is really behind it, and it's really grown in the last 5 years or so. So that's one of the biggest things that we do as a company, because we do have such a large workforce in Tennessee. So we have a lot of people to work with and to kind of spread the wealth with. So that's a general overview of everything. If you all want me to dig down deep into something, please let me know. I try to go over kind of the questions that we get the most often in that overview, but I am always open to talk with you guys. If you're working on your narrative and you're not quite sure you're on the right path, I'm open to read over that and let you know kind of what our focus is at that moment, because it shifts often. Even though we have those 4 focus areas, we might in that moment be focusing more so on youth, or more so on this part of a thing, or more so on programming as opposed to events, because we're kind of getting away from those luncheons and galas and walks, runs, and all those good things that we love and we know draws attention to your organization. We're appreciative of them, but we really want to do the programmatic support, just to be honest with you, have all of those dollars go towards the work that you're doing. think I saw something. The average grant amount is around $5,000, but I've seen 75,000 and I've seen $500. So we encourage people to apply for what you want, but to give us tiered options. So if you want, let's say $10,000, then say, you know, that we're looking for a presenting sponsor or something at this level, but here are the other levels as well. Or this program can be done at this level, but here's a breakdown of other ways you can support the program. But $5,000 is about the average gift. The diversity and inclusion area, sure. So diversity and inclusion is pretty much anything. So things like Urban League or Orange Grove, or so things that are the LGBTQ plus community, all of those types of marginalized populations are the ones that we support through the D&I. And sometimes that can be a multi-level thing. So we just gave some money to Orange Grove, which is in Chattanooga, an organization that deals with the differently able population. And we gave them money for a program that deals with youth. So it's kind of, it's hitting two things. So youth and D&I. We're just having Knoxville Healthy. Unfortunately, I cannot give it to you right now, but I can send you guys information later because there's a whole different person who handles Healthy Places. Any other questions? You're welcome to unmute yourself as well if you wanted to ask something. No.
I have a question. I'm so sorry. It's just
Okay.
me here in the office right now. So the phones are ringing, the mailman's coming, all that. So I missed the first part of, all I heard was that November 1st, can you go over the application cycle for me again, please? Because I missed if it's open or all that.
Okay, so the grant application process is open for the November 1st deadline right now. So November 1st covers anything from January to June of the next year. And then May 1st or November 2nd, the application will open for the May 1st due date for anything that is July through December of the same year. For programmatic grants, does it matter which cycle we apply? No, it does not for programmatic grants. It only matters if there's an event you're looking for support for. Yes, the deadlines are, I'm not quite sure if I answered it. Karen, did I answer that for you? Or do you have an answer or do I need to? Okay, great. What you recently funded. Sure, I can give you examples of what we recently funded. Give me just a second. Oh, well, actually, I thought I had that file up. In Knoxville, I'm trying to think of what we often fund. So things like East Tennessee Children's Hospital. There's a library program that we fund often in Knoxville. There's a organization that supports the Hispanic and Latino community that we support every year pretty much. Programmatic support, does this include pay for people to facilitate? So I know that's kind of tricky. If it's just we don't fund staffing support where it will be, if we don't give you the funding, then like an ongoing staffing person, but someone who is like a just coming in to teach a class or something like that, we will support that if that makes sense. So we're not trying to be someone that's your sole support for an ongoing position within your organization. But if it is contract work, we will consider that. Yes, we do give grants for mental health programs. In fact, that's one of the areas that we are really looking into here lately over the last year and a half. So we definitely give grants for mental health programs.
Carmen, there's two things that I just want to point out. When you initially reached out to me, you said, and you totally correct me if I'm wrong, but you
Okay.
said, I need help
I do.
getting more organizations
I do.
in your region to apply for these grants. We've got
Yes.
money to give away and we're not having a lot of applicants.
On average, we have maybe 8 to 10 organizations in Knoxville apply.
Yeah.
Whereas in other cities, and I'm not going to say like a Chattanooga, but even Tri-Cities may give us at least 15 to 20, or Jackson will give us kind of that same number.
Right.
But Knoxville, we don't get a lot of applicants at all.
Yeah. So
Also affects that percentage amount for us. So we don't get a lot of people applying and they shift that percentage funding to other areas.
yeah. So that's just encouraging people to apply, and also just want to point out how generous you, one of the things you said on this call, that even reaching out to you saying, hey, are we in the right bucket here? I mean, is this, or how, I mean, that's an incredibly generous offer for you to give some guidance before they submit, to say, are we on the right track? So thank you. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I've been on both sides of the coin. So for 13 years, I worked for a nonprofit and it included grant writing. So I understand, trust me, I totally understand. So that's why I always offer that to anyone to reach out, shoot me an email, give me a call. Emails are probably the best way to reach out to me. And if we need to follow up with a call, I can. But yeah, send it to me, ask questions. Am I on the right path? Do you think this makes sense? Because oftentimes you guys are on the right path, but there's something I can give you to help tweak it to make your application even more favorable when we're reviewing it, because it's not just me, it's me first, and then it's a group of us. So I like to try and help you guys get that money. Did I miss another? Oh, okay. Are there any other questions? Because I feel like it's kind of went really, really fast because I talk fast. So if there's anything I need to review again or go back over, I'm more than happy to do so. Oh, and I know that sometimes there's like a lot of turnover with development people. If you're an organization that has the nonprofit I work for, we did not have a development person. We had just people who did everything. But if you're in an organization that has a development person and all that kind of good stuff, I know oftentimes kind of those roles have a high turnover. So it doesn't affect your application. What happens is for the next time that you're going to apply again, you just create a new profile because we understand the turnover can be kind of high, or even if something happens in between the application and when we make the announcement, just reach out to us and let us know there's been a change in your staffing and who to contact with the decision, because we contact you regardless if you get the funding or not. November 1st is the due date. And it doesn't matter what day of the week is that the November 1st and May 1st due date falls on. So if it's a Saturday or Sunday, that is the deadline. But the application opens for the next cycle the day after the previous cycle closes. So the November 1st date will close this next cycle, and then November 2nd, it will open for the May 1st due date. So you have all of that time frame to get that application. And I encourage you to get it in sooner as opposed to later, but I understand a lot of times working in nonprofits, you're stretched really thin. And so we kind of hit those deadlines right when they pop up.
I have a question. This may be, but is it by 5 o'clock November 1st, or is it by 11:59 November 1st? Just trying to get my,
Yeah, I feel like, because I've never had anybody hit like 11:59 on November 1, but I've had like 11:30. But I've never had anybody hit like 11:59 midnight to try and play that. I wouldn't play it that close.
Oh, not that close. Okay.
Play it that way. Knoxville Area Rescue Mission, I've actually been there. We made some donations there maybe 2 years ago. So I would love, once we're able to go back and do in-person meetings, I would love to come visit you, Karen. So I'll take your information down now. Is there anyone on the call that works with any kind of veteran services or does any veteran work? If so, please, if you could shoot me an email, because I have a project that we're working on right now that I would love to talk to you about. Great. Are there any other?
I see a question asking if Blue Cross supports food banks.
Oh my God, do we? So last year we did it with Team Blue, but also with our dollars. Last year when the pandemic hit, we gave 1.5 million across the state to food banks. That was outside of our normal giving. And then every year we pretty much support food banks through the community trust as well. So yeah, those are some of our favorites to give back to. But our Team Blue, especially in the Chattanooga office, we help with a lot of food distribution programs that really, they are calling me every other week to see if we're going back to in-person anytime soon, because that's how many employees we would provide just for those distribution programs. It was standing outside, giving out 50-pound boxes of food. So everybody doesn't, raise their hand to sign up for that outside of us. So we were able to provide them with a lot of volunteers. So yes, we love the food banks. Love, love, love them.
Quick follow-up question to that, Carmen, and excuse my ignorance, but just trying to figure out, because I know some folks on this call are in Chattanooga and even closer that way. And of course, we got people from all over this East Tennessee region, but how do we get involved? How does our organization get involved with Team Blue? What opportunities do we have to be able to kind of make our pitch on who we are so that employers or employees at Blue Cross can potentially volunteer with us?
So you would reach out to me because I manage the portal. So the portal does not grant public access or external access at all. So you would reach out to me, and Tiffany, I'll email you kind of the questions that I normally ask people to provide me for the information. But anything from Chattanooga East, they would reach out to me. So it doesn't matter if you're in the Chattanooga, Knoxville, or Tri-Cities area, even if you're in between, because we fund and support organizations in between those cities as well. Just they would reach out to me directly.
That's great. And how, I'm curious, you may not know this, are there a lot of employees in the Knoxville area with Blue Cross Blue Shield?
Knoxville is one of our smaller offices. It's not our smallest. Our smallest is Jackson. But the majority of our employees in the Knoxville office are sales based. So they're marketing. Okay.
And then does Tri-Cities have an office?
Tri-Cities has an office, and the majority of that office are like nursing social workers. And we just built a building actually in Tri-Cities, maybe three years ago. But they are a smaller office as well, but they're slightly larger than Knoxville.
Gotcha.
All right, early. So we do not send any kind of notification from us directly. I'm not sure, Cheryl, to answer your question, I'm not sure if the grant management system sends you something, but we don't send out a notification. Claire or myself, we don't send anything out, but you're more than welcome to follow up and send me an email to say, hey, did you get it? And I'll look into the system and check for you.
So here's my question.
Okay.
We probably should stop recording, but after you mentioned being on the other side, you've been in our chairs before.
Yeah.
Is it really fun being able just to give away money?
Oh my God. I was telling Tiffany that when I first came to Blue Cross, just to give you an idea, I was just like, wait, there's someone else to do this? I can use 2 erasers. Like, it was just amazing to me when I first made it to kind of corporate nirvana. So yes, it's great to be able to be the one that, gives out the money, but sometimes it's a little challenging because we can't support every application that comes through. Yeah. So that's when it gets to be a little challenging when we have to say no to some organizations because everyone, for the most part, is doing great work. But we only have so much funds to give out. So, but yes, it's fantastic to be on the other side of the coin. Yeah. No, there are no, to answer your question, Cheryl, no reporting requirements for the trust. The foundation has reporting requirements, but the trust does not. If you want to send us for example, if it's an event that we support and you want to send us like the program from the event or something, we're fine with that, but we do not require it, and we don't require any kind of follow-up from your programming, like numbers and how many, youth and all that. We don't require any of that because the funding amount is at a level that, yes, we understand that it helps your organization, but it's not enough to give you all the extra work, just to be honest with you.
Excuse me, I have two questions. I
Sure.
came in a little late,
Okay.
and could you share your contact information again? And
Sure.
also, is Blue Cross? Pardon me, I'm a little sick, so you have to excuse me. But
Okay.
is Blue Cross Blue Shield interested, or are they looking into healthy housing and a lot of the initiatives around healthy housing that are taking place?
Okay, let me give you my contact information first. So it's Carmen Davis, and my email address is Carmen, CARMEN _Davis, DAVIS at bcbst.com. And you can reach me at 423-535-7048 or 423-305-3757. And everything currently is going to my cell phone number. So that second number, that 305 number or the 535 number, I can be reached at either. The second one is a cell phone. To the second question about healthy housing, can you give me a little more information about what that is exactly? Just so I know I can answer.
Well, there's a lot of the organization I work for. We're a housing development agency, so we do a lot of work around affordable housing, and healthy housing is a topic that's coming up a lot in the last couple of years. Really around, like, we understand that if homes are not healthy, then communities can't be healthy, right?
Mhm.
And so just initiatives around like lead mitigation, mold removal, things like that. Those are some of the initiatives that we're looking at. And would Blue Cross Blue Shield be interested in something like that? Because if families are healthier, there'll be less, policy, less claims and things of that nature.
Right. I don't remember. I mean, because we do get applications from organizations like Habitat, and there are some other group housing organizations that we receive applications from, but that's kind of like generic programmatic support.
Right.
But I don't think we've ever received anything. No, we have. There's an organization in Chattanooga that does the eco stuff for houses for in low income areas. So yeah, I would say that's something that we would be interested in. I can't remember too many applications that fall along that line, but that would be something possible that we would be interested in. If you want to send me the narrative or some additional information first, I would encourage you to do that, just so I can make sure you're kind of on the right path or the best path to get the funding.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Carmen. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. You're welcome. Everybody's quiet. Okay. It's making me nervous. Did I do everything you needed?
There's a question about, do you support diversity and inclusion training for organizations as a way to work from an equitable lens?
That's a great question. I've never had an application that asks for that type of training for an organization. And to be honest with you, we would probably offer you our D&I area as a resource to assist with that. Would probably be the first route that we would go in. But if you would send me kind of information about the program, the training that you're talking about, then I'll take a look at it and talk to my leadership to see what they think, because that's a great question and a great opportunity for organizations, so they'll make sure they're being fair and equitable. So yeah, please send me the information, and I'll talk to my leadership to see what they think about that. Or should we include the tiered funding? So in the additional attachments area, that's where I would include it, especially if it's an event where it's normally easier for you to include tiered options where you might have, presenting in gold and silver and all that kind of good stuff. Just include it as an attachment. And the question was on the application, where should you include the tiered funding information?
I have a question, or more just your opinion. So you're saying you still support sponsorship type events, but you're kind of moving away from those things and more programmatic, or did the phone ring and I misunderstood?
No, you're correct. So even right before the pandemic hit, we started leaning towards that direction, and then the pandemic hit. And so all of those events that we were sponsoring anyway didn't happen, or they were virtual. And which is fine. And we didn't, ask for any money back or anything like that, but it kind of really further cemented that we would rather just support the work as opposed to the event, because it's great. And we understand why the fundraisers are done and all that kind of good stuff. But if we could have, the $10,000 go straight to the program as opposed to, 9,900 of it because 100 went towards this, or, all those kind of things, we would prefer to go the other way. We're good with not having a table and or a team or all those kind of things. Yes, we have given funding to Habitat in the past. So in fact, we gave money this year for the Chattanooga one, and it was for a project, an orchard knob project, and I can't remember all the details of it. But Habitat application pretty much would stand out just because you're Habitat and we know the work that you do. So I would just talk about whatever program you're trying to get the funding for through Habitat and go from there. But we've supported Habitat for years. Normally it's been event-based sponsorship, but here lately it's been programmatic. I'm just curious what types of organizations are on this call, Tiffany. Do you know? Are there, it's kind of all over?
Definitely runs the gamut. If anybody wants to unmute or put it in the chat, what kind of areas they work in.
We've got seniors, we've got arts and culture, we've got healthcare, mental health, lots of kids focused organizations, housing, healthcare, pretty much everything.
Okay. Knox County Health Department. Okay. And some of these we've worked with before.
We've got animals organizations.
Now I will be kind of honest about animal organizations. They are probably, we love animals. As I mentioned, I have 3 dogs, but they're probably at the bottom of the priority list for us, unfortunately. We try to focus on organizations that deal with the human population first.
What if
it's one of my favorites? We fund you guys. Knoxville Area Rescue Mission. Okay, great.
What if you're working with an animal organization that is working with vets for mental health purposes?
Yeah, so that's slightly different.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's slightly different. But things like animal shelters, we typically do not fund animal shelters. I'll just be honest on that.
Yeah.
We do provide Team Blue volunteers for shelters now, but even that's more recent. That was literally right before the pandemic hit that we got approval to even provide Team Blue for that. Make a Wish, okay.
Susie asks if you have a program for the homeless.
Susie, can you give me a little bit more?
I had to find the microphone, sorry.
Okay.
There's a member of the coalition or the alliance here who works with the homeless and with me I'm the mental health, and he and I have been talking about, if there's a way that we can work together.
Mhm.
And I didn't know he's finding housing for the homeless and trying to help in that way. So I was asking, because I noticed he's not here,
Okay.
and I was asking so I could share that with
Okay.
him.
I don't know if you're familiar with Welcome Home, which is a program in Chattanooga. It's a group home housing situation for homeless vets. But we did a large scale project with them through donations. We painted rooms and financial, like donations as far as things like stuff for their kitchen and bedding and all that kind of stuff, and monetary support. And we sent Team Blue in. So yes, we definitely support those types of organizations.
Okay, and did I understand you correctly that you do support the service dog, emotional support dog programs for veterans?
I've never gotten an application for one, but it's something we would definitely consider in the time that I've been here. But yes, we would consider that because, like I said, that's slightly different than just like a shelter.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. But we don't get a lot of mental health applications. So I would love to see more of those as well for the people who are working in that space.
Would it be okay if maybe next week I try to contact you about that?
Please do.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any more questions for Carmen? All right. Well, Carmen, is there anything else that we need to know before we all sign off here?
No, again, I am open to discuss your organization. Once we can go outside again, come visit you guys, all of that good stuff. I try to make at least 3 trips a year to Knoxville and the Tri-Cities area. So I try to kind of squeeze things in during one of those trips. But I would love to talk to you on the phone or via email about what you're doing, the work you're doing, because I don't know much about what's happening in those areas because I am based in Chattanooga. So yeah, please reach out. I am open. Again, I've been on both sides of the coin, so I understand how stressful this can be. So I try to make it as easy as possible for you guys.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to send out the recording, some of the resources that we talked about earlier, and Carmen's contact information, the link to the grant, all that stuff in an email so you have it in one place. But other than that, thank you all for coming and spending some time with us. And Carmen, thank you so much for reaching out to us first off and being willing to talk with our group. This is awesome.
Thank you again, Tiffany. Thank you for everybody who attended today. I hope I've been some help in giving you some knowledge about how our process works. And I'm really encouraging you guys to apply.
Yeah, this has been amazing. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Hope to see you again soon.